Alright guys, day 2394.
My name is Jim!
Today we're going to do more sanding because we really haven't done enough sanding, you guys. At this moment I'm gonna get these stock pyramids off the car. I'm gonna put some wheels on it so that we can roll it outside. Alright, so we have 1-inch adapters on there right now. I'm gonna test fit this wheel on there, see how the fitment is, before I decide to add a spacer on top of the adapter.
We got spacers on lug adapters, on lug adapters, on spacers.
On spacers. Return to die.
Sketch Factory.
The space car!
Got the car pushed outside. The fitment is pretty terrible right now. So we got these wheels on there, Longchamps, but because the tire itself is so skinny.
This car's older than my mom!
I don't think that's true. I mean, I'm not very good at math, but I feel like that's not true.
That was a lie. It's still cool as hell though.
Anyways, the fitment is terrible right now. The Longchamps have very, very, very skinny tires on them. So without the flares, there's like gap plus gap. Hopefully we can get that dialed down before the car comes out completely. But right now that's just what it's on so that we can roll it out of the shop. I'm gonna start wet sanding. I'm gonna start with the hood up here where the flake is a little bit thicker. So the flake pokes through the clear coat in some places. We're hoping that when we wet sand that we can take care of some of that. If not, we might have to re-clear this thing. So stick around and see what has to happen. Alright you guys, we have the MR2 outside right now. We're just starting the cut and buff process. This is what's going to kind of fine tune the paint, bring the clear coat into its most shine. We're going to take, what we have right now is 1000 grit sandpaper on here. So we're gonna hit the whole hood with this in a nice cross-slash pattern and just kind of cut this up a little bit. Then we're gonna hit it with 1500 and then 2000 grit. What we really want is to try and knock down the clear coat a little bit, get rid of any runs and any imperfections. We want to see if the flake is poking through our clear coat. We're not sure yet. Once we do this, we'll know for sure, and we'll be able to see if we're going to have to clear coat this thing again.
Sanded it all down, so now we're gonna start using the compound to make it smooth. Let's see what happens.
Alright, we were able to cut and buff some of the car. We didn't really have very much time for a whole lot of stuff to get done today. We just ran out of light out here. Inside they are spraying clear coat on the Z, so we don't want to interrupt that, and we don't want to wheel the MR2 in where it might be subject to overspray. So they're closing the doors in there, we're gonna just leave the MR2 out here until they're ready to leave. It's gonna be wheeled back inside for the night, but we don't want to chance this thing getting sticky, tacky, icky. You know, we don't want anything extra that we're gonna have to sand off when we cut and buff.
The next day.
Welcome back to Initial Dweebs. This is a continuation from last week. We didn't really get very much done, so there wasn't enough content to make a full-on video. We got a little bit of cut and buffing done on the hood, but not enough. So today, Justin is running a test panel back here. He's just cutting it, buffing it, just trying to get the procedures and everything down, make sure that we have this process as fine-tuned as we can, so that we can figure out exactly the procedure that we need to do to get this thing nailed down to perfection and perfect shine. So yeah, we're gonna start on this center section here of the hood while he buffs out that piece. Test panel here that we were buffing on. As you can see, the shine has really come out of the paint. You can really see the flake. It looks really good. But we bought some bad 3000 grit sandpaper. I mean, you really gotta not skimp on your products, even though it's a ridiculous price. But we have some small micro scratches that were from the 3000 grit. So we gotta try and figure out how to work that out before we proceed. We're going to continue to buff out the car with the 2000 grit for now, just get everything knocked down a little bit, and then proceed after we do a little bit more research and find out why the 3000 grit went so wrong. So Justin's over here, he's going to do a test panel on this side, and we're going to skip a couple of the steps and just hit it with the 2000 first and see where we're at if he just tries to buff that out. So yeah, here we go. So a lot of trial and error has gone into this cutting and buffing process. Right now, we have tried a couple of different ways to try and get this thing cut and buff, but over here on this side, we've been putting a little extra pressure on the buffer, just doing our best with the rubbing compounds and things like that, and it is coming out better. So it's just going to be a lot of elbow grease, a couple of extra beers, and maybe we'll get this thing looking really nice. So the rest of the car is going to have to wait. We're just going to keep checking this hood, testing this hood, until we get this process right. Alright, so we've been buffing for a while now. This is stage 3, the last step in the cut and buff process. This is going to be more of a polish. We're going to wipe it off, and hopefully this thing looks like glass underneath. We'll see. Alright, so here's the end result of the cut and buff process. We've only really done this one little test panel. This is after everything has been buffed with all the stages. It's pretty smooth. This thing is like as smooth as glass now. So there's no chance we're going to have to re-clear coat it, which is a huge...
Right.
Casey says he does meth. Back to what we were saying. This thing is not going to have to be re-clear coated, so that is a victory in and of itself. It's just going to be a lot of extra elbow grease to get this thing buffed and polished the way we want. As you can see there, it's pretty much mirror finished on the top. So we just have to go over the rest of the car the same way we did this one, which was 4 stages of buffing and like 3 stages of cutting. But still, Even if it takes forever, this thing is gonna be amazing. So we didn't really get a lot of time last week. We're gonna come in again this week and try and get some more of the cut and buff process done. Really, there's not a lot left on the car. We gotta put the thing back together and we're gonna be ready for show car season, which makes me really, really excited. So yeah, you guys stick around, watch next week's episode, like, subscribe, share with your friends. I know you have some people you know that would really like to watch this MR2 come together, so share.